Today, we will talk about the subject of what is an executor. An executor of an estate is an individual appointed to administer the last will and testament of a deceased person. The executor's main duty is to carry out the instructions to manage the affairs and wishes of the deceased. The executor is appointed either by the testator of the will or by a court, in cases wherein there was no prior appointment. The executor is responsible for making sure all assets in the will are accounted for, along with transferring these assets to the correct party. Assets can include financial holdings, such as stocks, bonds, or money market investments, real estate, direct investments, or even collectibles like art. The executor has to estimate the value of the estate by using either the date of death value or the alternative valuation date, as provided in the Internal Revenue Code. The executor also needs to ensure that all the debts of the deceased are paid off, including any taxes, and that an official notice to creditors is published. The executor is legally obligated to meet the wishes of the deceased and act in the interest of the deceased. To be prepared to act as executor, you should be aware that the role requires a significant time commitment. It is important that you have the time to gather this information as soon as possible after you've agreed to be the executor. Executors are key in estate planning for individuals and their families and beneficiaries. Estate planning is an all-encompassing term that covers how an individual's assets will be preserved, managed, and distributed after death. It also takes into account the management of this individual's properties and financial obligations in the event that he becomes incapacitated. Often when a parent has more than one adult child, all children are named as co-executors so as not to show favoritism. For those who are named, this arrangement may not work smoothly, and there can be disputes among co-executors about the handling of the estate. It's important to find ways to resolve these disputes, such as allowing only one individual to serve or seeking help from a bank's trust department. An executor's job is to secure the assets of the estate and then distribute them according to the deceased person's wishes. In some families, heirs may dispute how the assets are being divided. In these cases, the executor needs to secure the home and other assets as quickly as possible and share information about the decedent's wishes, which may be described in a will or listed in a separate document. This can help reduce family disharmony. One of the biggest drawbacks to being an executor is the great amount of time it takes to properly handle responsibilities. An executor can streamline the process by using outside help such as an estate attorney, but this can be expensive and reduce inheritances for some heirs. An executor must be aware of personal liability exposure, especially when it comes to paying taxes owed before dispersing inheritances to heirs. Executors should also ensure that they understand the extent of the funds needed to pay what's owed before distributing any assets. An executor is the individual who carries out one's last will and testament, ensuring that the stipulations and wishes of the deceased are carried out properly. Other terms for this role may include the will's administrator, enforcer, or steward, or the testator's personal representative, agent, or fiduciary. A female executor is referred to as an executrix. The two roles are similar, but an executor carries out one's will, often under the supervision of a probate court, while a trustee manages a trust according to the terms and conditions set out in the trust document. Yes, and it is not uncommon for a will's executor to also be a named beneficiary. However, this can create accusations of perceived unfairness or conflicts of interest. Executors are often entitled to payment for their time and effort, either through the terms of the will, or under state law pertaining to reasonable compensation. This can come in the form of a percentage of the estate's value, a commission on the transactions involved in settling the estate, as an hourly rate, or a flat fee. An executor may choose to decline compensation. Here are 5 key takeaways. 1. An executor is the person who administers a person's estate upon their death. 2. An executor is often named by the testator before their death, or else by a court. 3. The primary duty is to carry out the wishes of the deceased person based on instructions spelled out in their will or trust documents. 4. This means ensuring that assets are distributed to the intended beneficiaries. 5. Being an executor is a large responsibility where potential hazards and complications may arise. Hope this would help. Thanks for watching.